Hello, my name is Diana, and I run all things laser earrings and more. um, Today we are not going to be talking about earrings. We're going to talking about inlaying a bigger project, and what are the five things we really need to look out for when we're doing inlay on a bigger project. So I created this Day of the Dead sign, and I've already started inlaying, as you can see. This acrylic that I have was sent to me by Creality Falcon, and I have to say it has cut so easily. It has made this project really easy. So the one thing I had, my concern was I have done a ton of earrings, like inlay earrings. I have one right here, which I'm also doing a tutorial on. And my concern is what is the difference between doing a small inlay where things are all really tiny as opposed to doing something bigger? Um, is the inlay going to change? Is it going to, are there things I need to look out for? And basically, the answer is you do not have to change your settings. Once you figure out your inlay on your machine, we always know that that's kind of a starting point anyway. When you figure out the kerf for your machine, that is a starting point, because as I will show in this other tutorial with the earrings, all acrylics will behave a little bit differently. So you do have to adjust your settings. But in this case, all this acrylic, except for the orange, all come from the same manufacturer. And it all behaved pretty much the same. It cut really easily. I never had to double cut. And that obviously will affect your kerf if you have to be cutting your acrylic twice. And so it was actually really straightforward. This project was very, very, very straightforward. The things I would say to be careful when you are doing a bigger project is that acrylic remains fragile, right? So you really have to be careful of points. You have to be careful of fragile areas of your acrylic. I was very concerned about areas like this. And so I say when you are inlaying those areas, be very careful, because it won't actually be that hard for you to crack your acrylic. Anything that's like this, where there's a lot of acrylic everywhere, and then a cut with a smaller cut here, all next to each other, this is a very fragile point. And on a bigger acrylic piece, you really have to be careful not to go in there and squeeze it a little bit too much and it snap out. And in fact, let's try this. I actually put in the orange and I put in the purple because I couldn't decide what color I wanted. And I decided I wanted the purple. So I'm actually going to take out this and look, you don't see this, but I'm just trying to get this, this just went down a little too much. So I'm actually going to remove this really carefully. And I don't have the use of this thumb right now because unfortunately I got accidentally bitten this weekend. And so my thumb is healing since one of my dogs accidentally bit me through the nail plate. It was so painful for, I would say, 36 hours. And I found out it's because the nail plate doesn't allow the inflammation to just, be inflamed. And so, oh my God, look how much difficulty I'm having taking this out. This is a sign of a good inlay. But I'm very, very concerned about here. I don't want to snap that. So I am going in. I could use a weeding tool. I'm using my nail to kind of lift this up and get this out. Take this one out. Oof. I really wanted to make this the colors of, these Day of the Dead signs. They tend to be very colorful signs. And so that was my thinking. Also, why am I taking it from behind, right? Because when you cut your acrylic with kerf, one thing you have to be aware of and pay attention to is that your laser cuts at an angle, right? It doesn't cut straight down. So the laser has a natural, it doesn't cut straight, it has a natural angle. So when you are inlaying your acrylic, you're generally cutting it, inlaying it at the angle that you cut. Like if you cut it straight up, should still be the top part. Like that should still be what will be on the top of your acrylic when you inlay it, just to account for that slight angle that you're, oof, I'm really being careful here. I really don't want to snap this as I'm doing this. But I wanted to show this live because this is probably the most fragile part of my design here. Here, and it's actually way easier to do this. There you go. Use your tweezers. Don't use your nails. And it's like really wants to stay in there. Okay, we got this. Okay, 2. Always make sure you have the masking off because true inlay only happens once all the masking is off. Sometimes you can like put something in but you don't have all the masking off, and then once the masking comes off, it seems like it's a really snug fit, and then you take the masking off and it falls through. Because obviously the masking is also acting as a little bit of a kerf. It's adding a little bit of material. So make sure that you remove all your masking before putting it in. So I'm now going to put it in here. And it went in well, but it's not in all the way. And I'm really going to show you like what you want to kind of hear. Hopefully you can hear it a little bit on this when you're putting it in, so that you know that the inlay is snug and that it is not going anywhere. Ouch. I have to be careful. I might really want to work with my thumb, but it's a little bit ouchy still. All right, trying to design without the use of a thumb is really hard. I'm having to totally relearn how to use a mouse without my thumb, using my thumb. It's amazing how much you use your thumb. Okay, now put this in. Oops, not this way, this way. And then you want to hear it, like you hear that? You want to hear it crunching. I don't know what this is on here, but let's move that. You want to hear this. Okay, you're really going to hear it with this. Once again, be careful. Don't support it as you're putting it in. You see how I'm supporting it on the back end so that you don't accidentally break your acrylic. Really, that is the biggest problem that you will face. I have all these petals. I actually did like what the top part is, and that is the top part. I put a little bit of I don't know if you can see it. I put a little bit of a nodule in here, so I really would know what the top part is, because even though this is supposed to be kind of symmetrical, I might have moved them around just a little as I was like making the design. You never know. So I have it exactly which petal is which, and I'm gonna go in, and I am. Go in, put them all in order. Oof. And if it doesn't want to go in like this one, it's probably the wrong way around. There you go. Like I was saying, your laser cuts at an angle. It will let you know. It'll be like, yeah, I don't want to go in this way. It's not going to happen. So if that happens, like this one again, I probably flipped it around. Flip it. Nope. Let's try again. There we go. And then this middle piece right here. And this is the other thing that is a little bit more complicated, makes inlay a little bit more complicated when you have like these like scallops here. On these you see there's like, let me put it up. There's tiny little scallops on here. I don't know if it's coming through very well on this camera, but there are tiny little scallops here, and that made it a little bit harder for it to fit in perfectly. Okay, so now like I'm going to do it again. I want you to hear the crunching. And And it's this crunching that's letting me know that it's actually like setting in perfectly. Actually, I feel this one's too loose. That's not good. I'm going to have to redo that one. If it like pops out that easily, that's not a good thing. You might have to go in. Oh, you know what? I flipped it around and now you hear this crunching. It's not going around. So sometimes what happens is that you can actually flip it around. And so you are taking advantage of the fact that it is a little bit angled and it actually will fit a little bit tighter. This one too is a little too loose. So I'm going to flip it around. You hear that crunching? So for some reason, this one, when I cut it, the petals probably needed a tiny bit more kerf. Yeah, I'm not trusting this one. I might have to go in and I'm going to have to redo a couple of these petals with a little bit more kerf. But you hear how it crunches when I put it in? Let me see if I have any of that, like these here. Like, be careful with little angles, like this, sharp angles, another place where it could easily break. So go in, go in. I am supporting it the whole, here it's not fully in yet, so I'm gonna, you hear that crunching? That crunching is the acrylic fitting in perfectly. And if it doesn't crunch at all, you might be a little bit, need to be a little bit concerned. See there, that's not going absolutely anywhere. And so far, my kerf is very low on my laser. I have a mirror 9 and it's always been very low here. And you can also put it on a flat surface and then like push it down a little bit more. So if you have areas that you hear that, it's so satisfying. So hear the crunch. This is definitely something. If you don't hear the crunch, you might need to redo your kerf a little bit and increase your kerf by a little. You hear that crunch? And then I still like the orange. I made some of these little stars and I'm going to put them in. I haven't tested them, so here we go. And now I feel like I should have added a few more. And I might grab some more. Ooh, that one's definitely not going anywhere. Well, that one was a little too easy. Let me flip it round. I don't think it's going anywhere, but let's flip it around anyway and see if we can get you really want it to be snug. Actually, the other way around is worse. So, like this. And it's funny how the exact same thing will just cut slightly different depending where you are. I mean, the laser does not cut the same everywhere on your laser bed. It cuts better towards the middle, if you don't know that. So sometimes when you're getting to the edges, it will cut a little bit differently. So here, oh, did you hear that? So satisfying. Okay, so things to think about when you're doing a large inlay sign. 1, think about sharp corners like this and here. Make sure you are supporting them when you're putting stuff in. Use the back, hold it back, or put it up against a flat surface like this. 2, make sure when you are putting it in that it is crunching in and you can hear the acrylic really like meeting each other and having this crunch. And if it's not doing that, then flip over your piece and see if you can get it to crunch that way. 3, using like material from like the same vendor might make your life a lot easier when doing like a big inlay sign, just because you know it's all going to behave in the same way. Because acrylic, different acrylic, one, if it's from different vendors, has different thicknesses. So that already affects how your laser is going to cut, because it either won't cut as well or cut too much, or always make sure you are auto-focusing or focusing, depending how you're doing, manually focusing it on your machine so you don't have that problem. But obviously if I'd use glitter, if I'd use mirrored or any more of like, or an acrylic with flakes in it, that would have changed my settings and probably have changed my kerf. So I made my life a lot easier by using acrylic all from the same vendor. For anything with scallops, like small scallops, you might have to watch out for, and you might have, this is like so tightly in here because the fact that it had all these little scallops made it a lot snugger. So think like round shapes, way easier to fit in than anything that's very angular. So this is pretty angular, but it's actually kind of round shapes. It's not very, this is where you would have to watch out, where you could possibly have problems. But this is the most complicated because there's tiny little scallops here. I can see them really well, but I can see that you can't see them very well through the video. And also 5, just generally with design, make sure you give yourself enough space for all your acrylic inlays. Do not like overcrowd your design. Like I purposely made sure that there was a good enough space like between the pieces here. I definitely moved this apart at one point. I definitely moved these to give myself, this makes me a little nervous now that I look at it, but when I was doing the design, it looked okay. It was a lot snugger when I started. So when you are designing for inlays on a big piece, give yourself enough space in all your pieces, because once again, if everything is a little too tight, you might be creating fragile areas which will snap easily, and ask me why. I know. So some people have to learn it the hard way. So I have learned that I have to create space in order not to create fragile spots. And then like, just make sure everything is in, make sure nothing feels like it's gonna fall out. Like definitely like shake it around. The only one I got a little nervous was a couple in here, but it doesn't actually look like they're going anywhere. And then you have a beautiful sign, and I'm gonna probably put this over my door because exactly, it's a welcome to my house sign. And thank you so much for watching. If you have any more comments or if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. If you want to join a really fun community where we support each other and show our projects, and I put my tutorials, share my tutorials, you can join me on Facebook and All Things Laser. Or you can join my membership at allthingslaserearrings.com. And thank you for watching, and let me know all your questions.